Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, my name is Amra and this is Amra's Beauty Blog. If you're a subscriber, then a welcome return. If you like this video, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for weekly uploads. So today we're going to be talking about the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Universe Unlocked. If you'd like to see how I came up with this look, then please keep watching. So this is part of the holiday collection for Hourglass. They have come out with two palettes and a ambient palette, which is number 3 in the collection. I have number 2. I didn't pick that up. I did mention it in my previous video because I felt that it would probably be a little bit too dark for my skin tone, but I think it would really suit darker skin tones. So this is part of the holiday collection. You will probably realise that there are 2 in the collection. I have picked up both because I actually sit between the two, I suppose the 2 palettes. So I thought I would pick both of them up and I would show you how they would look on my skin tone. So before we start exploring and opening this up, I just wanted to read you a little bit from the website. Available for the holiday season, Universe Unlocked features 2 best-selling and 3 brand new shades of ambient lighting powder, the groundbreaking finishing powder that recreates the most flattering light sources. Along with 2 existing shades, 1 finishing powder and 1 bronzer, it also includes 3 limited edition shades of blush and highlighter. The name Universe and the design of the palette are inspired by the unique swirled texture of the bronzer, which is handmade using an advanced miscelare technique, meaning no 2 are exactly alike. So if you watch my previous video, this is exactly the same when it comes to the weight of ingredients. There are 4 small palettes which work out to be 0.4 ounces or 1.4 grams of product. And in the larger part, which I'll show you shortly, that is 4 grams from what I remember. This is the palette that I think a lot of people have been waiting for, purely because it's a little bit darker than the Universe palette, which I just reviewed. So I'm really excited. So without further ado, let's start looking at this palette now. Before we opened it, I just wanted to tell you what I have on my face. I have the Vanish Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation in Honey, and I have the Hourglass, and this is the Vanish concealer, and I have this in the colour Dune. Those are the products that I have on my face today. So let's start the unboxing together. Now, what's interesting is that when this arrived, it had this emblem on it. Now, this is from Hourglass and it's got a rabbit on it, and this wasn't on the other Universe palette. And I think that's because this one is meant to be fully vegan. So whenever you see this sign, it means that this is fully vegan and cruelty-free, whereas the other one isn't. So let's have a look. This one has a 12-month shelf life. So as we open it up, you can see that this one is browner. It is absolutely gorgeous. You also get a pamphlet or a leaflet inside, which I think I folded in here, and you've got a how-to of how to use the ambient lighting edit, and it's Universe Unlocked. There is a recommendation as to how to do it. So this time around I'm going to follow the instructions, a little bit different to my previous video because I want to see how this compares. You have a finish powder, you have a bronze, a blush and a highlight, but we will go through those colours now together. So I thought I'd get in a little bit closer just to show you the palette. So as you can see, this palette is gorgeous. You can see the H in the centre, so it is slightly different to the Universe palette, and I'll do a comparison later. Let's open it up. It's in this lovely tin container. So from what I believe, it's the same material that has been used for the eyeshadows that they've just released, where you could buy the individual shadows. So they have used the same material and it has that really lovely luxurious feel. Also, it has this huge mirror, which is something I mentioned in my previous video, which I think everyone will love. But as you can see, the colours are a lot more warmer than the previous palette. That, as you can see, is beautiful. we're going to go in order of the colours. So the first one, which is this one here, is called Radiant Light. And this one is available as a permanent part of their collection. And then in the corner, which is the bronze, that is Radiant Bronze Light. And that is something that I actually already own because it's actually a really good colour match for my skin. And then you've got 3 new colours. So these are the 3 new colours. So the top colour, which is number 3, is called Rose Heat. The one underneath is called Coral Flush. And then the highlighter in the corner is called Solar Strobe Light. So I'm very, very excited to try this. So let's see how we get on. So it must be my lucky day because guess what? I found my ambient powder brush. I thought I'd lost it and it had disappeared forever, but I have found it. So this is perfect. It's actually designed to fit the ambient lighting edit. So we will use this today. I am going to take my fluffy brush first, and what I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to start just powdering my face. So we're going to see how this radiant light looks on my complexion. What I would normally do is what I've just shown you, which is just my T-zone, where I tend to sort of go just a little bit more oily, and I've just gone over those sections now. I am going to put the bronzer on first because this is what the card says. Let's go with the Radiant Bronze Light as a bronzer, and then I'll put on the blush. And what's interesting, like I said before, is I actually own that in this corner in a large size because it's actually my colour. So I'm so pleased that I have it now as part of the palette. So let's try the bronzer first. So I'm just going to go in with my brush again, and I'm going to tap into the bronzer. Now I know this is going to suit me because I already have it, but I just wanted to show you. As you can see, the bronzer is just there. It's definitely a lovely colour. I'm just going to take a little bit more. So I've just added the bronzer and it is really lovely. Actually, this is the colour, like I said, I've used in the past, so I knew that the colour would suit me. I think I'm very, very excited about the blushes really because I can see that they are really pigmented. So we're going to do one side with Rose Heat at the top, and then we're going to do the other side with Coral Flush. Wow, so I wasn't expecting that much pigmentation. I just did the top one, which was Rose Heat, and you could probably see that I had to blend it to get the colour a little bit more natural looking. So that's what I did with the blush. So this is Rose Heat. We're now going to go in with the other colour, which is a Coral Flush. So let's see how Coral Flush looks on my cheek here. So I just wanted to show you the two on my cheek. They are really pigmented. So what I would say is less is more when it comes to those two blushes. You don't want to go in too heavy-handed. I think I even went in a little bit too much because it kind of had to be blended out. So let me show you the two colours up close. So as you can see on this side, I've put on the colour Rose Heat, which is that stronger colour at the top. And then on this side, I put on the colour Coral Flush. Now, judging by the camera, I can't actually tell much difference between the two. Let me know your comments. Let me know what you can see. This is the top one, which is Rose Heat. And then this one on this side is Coral Flush. Now, when I look in the pan, they look like they're from the same sort of family. So I think what I found with this one was I didn't have to blend it out as much, whereas the top one is really pigmented. On my cheeks, there isn't really that much difference. They both come from the same family, which is pink, even though that's kind of like a magenta, darker pink, and then you've got the lighter pink. It's not transferring as a different colour on my cheeks. A little bit disappointed that they aren't different or that much different from each other. So we're going to now balance it out because obviously I've got two different colours, but technically they kind of look the same, if you know what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put a little bit of each on each side just to balance it out. So this side didn't have this, so I'm just going to take the darker one. I'm not going to go too much and then just add it just to balance it out. And then on this side, I'm just going to add a little bit of the pinky one, which is the one underneath, and just blend it out as well. And I mean, this is how it looks. So that's both colours blended together. Finally, I am going to play with the highlighter shade. Now I've got the smaller part of the Ambient brush, so I'm going to use the smaller brush here, and I'm going to go into the highlight, and I'm just going to dab in the highlight. And normally I just like to place the highlight just on my cheeks. Now that is gorgeous. You can see that in the camera. It's very, very nice. And what I might do is put a little bit on my Cupid's bow, and then just a little bit on the bridge of my nose, just here, just to give some highlight. And then I always like to take a little bit of the highlight and just put it on the brow bone just there. So that's how I would highlight normally. Now, it's definitely more richer than the other palette. I can already see the highlight is gorgeous, absolutely stunning. I think the blush, you have to just know how to work with it because the blush is very pigmented. So as you can see, I went in too much. I had to sort of really diffuse it, but I really like that. It's very, very nice. And I like the fact that the two palettes are quite different. I'm going to put them up side by side shortly, but I just wanted to show you the look with everything on. Okay, so this is me with the full palette on. Because I already have two of the existing things in there, the only three things I can talk about are the three new colours. Now, I wish that the pink and the red blush, I wish they were not from the same family. Even though it wouldn't look great in the palette, I think it would have been nice to get some kind of contrast on my cheeks so that I had another colour that I could play with, essentially, because I feel like they are almost so similar on my face that I just can't tell the difference. The highlighter is beautiful. I think you can see that, and I haven't really done much, and it's just shining through. Now, off camera now, I'm just going to put on some mascara. I'm going to show you another scattered light because I showed you one yesterday. We're going to come back and we're then going to do a comparison. I'll do some swatches with you and I'll give you my final thoughts. One of the things I forgot to do was to just do the eyeshadow using the bronzer. So I would take the bronzer, which is here. So I would take the bronzer and I would do the same with the other side. I'm going to take the sort of more lighter pink . Just to add some depth to the eyeshadow and even just a tap of the darker one. What I thought I'd do as well is just take a sort of finer brush and just go into the highlighter shade, and I'm just going to put that on the inner corners of my eyes just to give it a bit of a pop. And then I'm just going to get my flat definer brush from Sonia G, my favourite brush, and then just put it on the lower lash of my eyes. Just to give it some definition there. Okay, so I have added some bits to my face so that it is more of a completed look, and I have gone in with some more scattered light on my eyes, and I've added a lip, well actually two lip products. I added Confessions lip in At Dawn, and I used the new Velvet Story in Crush on top of that, and then I put some brow in, some mascara, and just really try to amp up the look so that you can see that this particular palette, it reminds me of sort of evening vibes. I think it gives me more sort of going out in the evening, and purely because of the highlighter I think it really brings that look together. So this is the look. And it's a much different look to the Universe palette. this one is definitely one that I would wear going out in the evening to give me that glow. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Very different. I think they're two very different palettes. So let's just take a closer look now. Okay, so this is probably the best way to show this side by side. So you can see that this palette is a lot more deeper. If you are my skin tone and deeper, I would recommend this one. I would also say that the bronze light in this palette, which is within the permanent, could be deeper for deeper complexions. I think it might not show up if you're darker than I am, because that's the bronzer that I use. This one is a little bit more of a different tone, but we're going to compare the swatches now so you can see. Infinity powder in the Universe palette, it's a lot more universal, but if you are a darker skin tone, then probably Radiant Light would be better. So I would go for this palette if you are my skin tone or darker. We're going to compare like for like, so let's start that now. So this colour is the Radiant Light. This is the one that's in the palette that I am using right now, coming from the Unlocked palette, and this one is from the Universe palette. So as you can see, it's a lot more complementary to darker skin tones, that particular powder. So this is the blush that was from the Universe palette, and this is the blush from the same palette but below. This is the blush from the new Unlocked palette, and this is that sort of more, I suppose, this kind of rose heat, I think they call it. So it's a lot more pigmented and darker. Then this is the blush that's below that. It's still in the same family, that's what I was trying to say. So if you don't want that rich pigment, you'd probably go with that one. But these are the blushes side by side. So if I put a line through the middle, that's Universe and that's Unlocked. Universe Unlocked. Now I'm going to show you the bronzer from the Universe palette. That's the bronzer that I used in my previous video. And this is the bronzer that is in the Unlocked palette. I feel as though this is leaning towards a slightly darker, and I would have expected that bronzer to be in the Unlocked palette and then that one to be in the Universe palette, but that's how they look side by side. So let me know your thoughts on that. Finally, let's look at the highlighter shades. So this is from the Universe palette and this one is from the Universe Unlocked. And you can clearly see that there is a lot more sort of light coming through from that one, and this is a lot more of a lighter highlight, whereas this one is definitely stronger and has much more of a punch to it. The final thing I wanted to add really was around the packaging. Now, they have really smashed it out the park, in my opinion, with the packaging. This year, I think that the holiday collection is beautiful. I think they've really excelled when it has come down to the packaging. I think that both are beautiful. I really loved it that year when they did the marbling. The marbling was just gorgeous, that white marbling. And it was almost like marble. I don't know what they used, the material, but this is beautiful. So I don't think you're going to go wrong if you pick either one of these, because as you can see, I mean, look at it. Gorgeous, right? So I just wanted to give you my final thoughts on this particular palette. When I first went in, or when I first saw pictures of both palettes, I was actually drawn to Unlocked more, which is this palette that I have on now. I felt that the colours would be better suited to my skin tone. There was just something about this palette that appealed to me more than the Universe palette. Having done videos for both now, I feel as though the Universe palette is really good for like everyday daytime looks. It's very natural. The colours you can build, and it just has colours in there that are pretty much wearable every day. Now, I'm not saying that this palette, which is the Unlocked one, is harder to wear. It's definitely more suited for a darker skin tone, so it actually does really suit me. However, it's not the kind of palette that I would probably use during the day. The blushes are really quite strong, and as you can see, the highlight is pretty wow. For a daytime look, if I'm working, I'd probably use the Universe palette. If I was going out in the evening, which is a different matter, I would definitely grab this palette and use it to get me some evening looks, because everything is in there. You've got a strong highlighter, you've got strong blush, you can use that on your eyes. The benefit of it is that the actual bronzer is the one that I normally use, so I don't have to dip into a separate bronzer. I can just use that palette. So for me, it's really good for sort of evening looks and just when you want to amp your Hourglass up another level. So that's how I would describe how I feel about them both. Do you need both in your life? Probably not. I'm a huge Hourglass fan, so I generally pick up a lot of things from Hourglass, and I just love collecting their makeup. But I think if you had to choose between the two, I would definitely say that the Universe one is a lot more universal. How ironic. It is more of a palette that would suit a lot of people, a more sort of everyday look. If you wanted to have a palette that was almost like an evening palette, a chance to kind of vamp up your look or get it to another level, then I would go with Unlocked. I would also go with Unlocked if your skin tone is my skin tone or darker. The pigment is so good and so strong. Like, you just have to be really careful when you're applying, because obviously you saw what I did earlier and I just went in way too much. I didn't know how strong that pigmentation was going to be, so just be careful as to how you use it. So I really hope that that has helped. I want to get this video out ASAP because I know a lot of people want to see the comparisons. I certainly was really keen on filming this because I wanted to know the differences between the two palettes. I'm really happy to answer any questions that you may have, so please do leave comments in the comment section below about how you feel about these two palettes, which one you're likely to pick up and why. I'd love to hear. And I hope this has kind of helped you to decide which palette you're going to pick up, or if you decide to pick up both, then that's great as well. And I hope that it's given you an idea of the kind of looks you can achieve with both palettes. So thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.